Hello and welcome to Foodinati UK, and this week we've got none other than the kings of rave, Leeds rave, proto-punk, hip-hop extraordinaires. Utah Saints are in the house, and we're going to be doing the part one of a two-part interview with them, and we're going to take you deep dive into everything about the band. Keep it locked. Hello and welcome back to Foodinati UK, and look who we have here. It's the Utah Saints are here.
Hello.
Hello. Hi Tim, hi Jess, how's it going?
Good, thank you for having us.
Full disclosure, I do actually know these guys, so this should be quite a fun interview. Right, the reason why we're all here is, well, one of the reasons is 30th anniversary of your first album, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm correct in that?
Yeah.
Absolutely, and coincidentally 30th anniversary of 601 at the same time.
There you go.
Because basically I started playing about with dance music because of that first record.
Wow,
so
that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a big compliment, thank you.
Yeah, man. So yeah, I try and get like one good dance act in every series. We had Sam Binger last time.
Yeah.
Which was great fun. But
all actor dance acts.
Absolutely. There you go. We've got our first good quote there. Yes, absolutely. And I was just saying to you earlier.
I know you mean, no, I'm not taking it.
No, I know. How a lot of our generation dance acts come in some way from punk rock a bit as well. I think there's parallels there, definitely with me.
There's big parallels there because it's a DIY. I think when we started, it was at the very least subculture, felt a bit countercultural at points, and it got shut down. Rave culture got shut down. So,
absolutely.
Because basically people got a bit, the whole system got a bit worried by the power of 2 million people all being at the same type of music, which is a shame. But our first track was totally punk rock in terms of attitude, because we made a track basically on the most basic equipment, a sampler and an Atari computer.
Yeah.
1 megabyte Atari computer, which sounds like steam powered stuff. And we made it in a room in my bedroom in Leeds, and then we pressed up 1,000 copies ourselves, which again is a punk thing. We made up we took it to shops ourselves initially. Tim was out in the car, he knew all the dance shops. He'd take them across 1 copy or 2 copies. And so that's how we got going. It was completely, we were taking cues from what was Red Rhino in New York. It was like a big indie distributor there.
Yeah. And
we were definitely, in terms of attitude and the way we went about our business, was punk. Equally, there's punk influence on our music just because of my background. Tim will tell you about his background in a sec. But my background was coming from, I grew up with punk bands, and the first band I was in Leeds was a surf band called Surfing Dave and the Absent Legends. And when that band split, I joined an electronic punk band called Cassandra Complex, and the guitarist and drummer joined the Henry Rollins band. So there was always going to be links. There's always links between good music, whatever genre it is.
You see, that was the funny thing, because I was like a little skate punk as a kid, and my mates took me to the under-18s night, the mix. I'm probably still a bit too young to be in there. And you were DJing there. Yeah. And I remember really liking the dance music, but then not telling my heavy metal mates, because I felt like I was cheating a bit. Like, I can't like heavy metal and this at the same time. And I've made a job out of it, because it's all one melting pot. I know that now as when I'm older, but when you're young and you've got that peer pressure, it's just like I was almost sneaking off to the raves, and then going back and watching Metallica or something.
Yeah. No, that club was like, that was where I met Jez as well.
Yeah.
I worked with a guy there called Daz, who's a hairdresser in Harrogate.
Des Roche.
Yeah, and he so basically he knew Jez, and we did a mix, and the reason why I got to meet Jez was because we did on Friday night, we would do like a rave thing, and then Saturday night, rather than do a rave thing twice, Jez was like, right, we need to do something different. So Jez we've met Jez, and seen that Jez had a night in Leeds called Mile High Club, and Jez was playing like disco and stuff like that, and he said like we should get these guys in. There's Jez and Keith. Keith's the guy who said you are saying something.
Oh, it's the sample voice.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Jez and Keith came across the DJ on Saturday night, and so I started going to see on the Saturday night, and so I go down and have a beer, doing a night off, and then I got to meet Jez, and then he's occasionally come over to the Friday nights. So that's how I found out about his background, and then I'd kind of put records out before. I worked with this label in Sheffield called Ozone, which was like a bleeps and Sheffield bleep thing. And so I totally come in from that side. And before that, I was just in Harrogate and in the bedroom basically, practicing. Yeah. And doing, and then I entered like the DMC thing. And which I won the Northern Heat in '88. So then. And I worked in this other club in Harrogate, which I didn't really enjoy, but it was just for the money and the experience. And then I started my own night at the Mix. Yeah. So then that was great because we just put on people like, we put on my Sasha in there. He goes on to play like the stadium.
It was strange for me as a kid seeing these names coming into town.
Yeah, so it was cool because it was above, it was below Italian restaurant. It was the roughest club. Before that, it was the roughest club in town that you would go to when you couldn't get into anywhere else. And I remember, so we had that was the first only place that would take us on doing a rave thing, and it was above, below Pinocchio's, which is the Italian restaurant. Yeah. I remember like probably the second week in, all the people who used to come who couldn't get anywhere else continued to try and come, and suddenly this club, which was their place that they go to, was full of kids and they couldn't get in anymore, so they were really happy. And I remember sitting in reception, I remember the scaffolding pole just coming straight through the window. Going straight to the sofa, and that was a warning for us to get out of their club kind of thing. So, but yeah, I digress. I mean, eventually it got shut down. Yeah. Because I think it broke the fire regulations, and there's so many regulations got broken, but it got shut down. But that was so through that was how I met Jez, and that was how Utah's came to be. And also how so it's kind of
it was crazy that time in Harrogate, because I know for me and my mates at the time who were just discovering dance music, like the gateway music I suppose was like Happy Mondays and Stone Roses and stuff like that, and then we heard Utah Saints, and because it kind of it had a kind of rocky vibe to it, and whether that was conscious or subconscious, and I'll get onto all that later. But it was like the dance music. It wasn't like disco. It wasn't like girly. It was kind of stuff you could stomp to. Yeah. So that we responded to that. Yeah. And it was kind of a natural migration. Yeah. Whereas I was still banging my head, but it was with dance.
But it was. But a lot of the rave records, the thing is, a lot of the rave records were like, because I kind of came in totally from the dance side. But I remember Jez would go to me, you play this record and it's got like a Strangler sample in, and it's got this you play this record, it's got an Echo and Bunnyman sample. And I didn't know some of those bands, to be honest. And then I sort of started researching it more. But that's where the link was. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so a lot of those rave records they were punk in attitude because they were just sampling. Helping themselves. And at that time, it's normal now for kids just to on their iPod just to have, they'll listen to a rock track, listen to like Pendulum track, listen to disco track and that. But back then, it was like you're kind of almost in one camp, like you say, you're in you're either like a rock kid, you're an indie kid, or a dance kid, and you didn't really go between the things.
Oh yeah, and it seems like a million years ago now, because certainly I've got going on 16-year-old son, and because of playlists being the way they are, everyone's eclectic these days, but you really were in camp zone in those days, what you were wearing, what gigs you were going to, what have you. So there were divisions. I think those walls have been very much broken down now.
100%, which is a good thing. And it's it's great because people just listen to all sorts now.
Yeah.
And it's cool. And, you get like rock bands with DJs and back then you wouldn't have that, or but again, then for me, I thought a lot of the hip hop bands, like one of the Barriers Down, people
Public Enemy,
Rodney O.T., and they were all the kind of bands that I was influenced by massively. Why I wanted to do turntables.
Yeah, and I remember seeing you do your scratch routines and stuff. I think you were one of the first DJs I saw that actually got up on the decks.
Yeah, and that's when like my Facebook thing, which was like at U2, and I used to sort of just jump up, and now all that stuff's normal now, but at the time it was kind of like it was cool, and it was just different, and it was exciting, and I always thought, you know, the DJ kind of took the place of the lead guitarist.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I see that. And funnily enough, while I was doing a bit of research, I came across an old movie that it's not a massive famous movie, it's about ram raiding.
Yeah, shopping.
That's it, you're in that, aren't you? Yeah, they do a club scene and you're once again up on the decks.
Yeah, and it's quite funny because it's about ram raiding, and so it's Jude Law.
Yeah.
And Jude Law comes in and they're like, I think like BMW or something like stolen, and he drives up his warehouse thing. And there's a raid going on, I'm DJing, and he gets out of the car and he says hello to him, and I'm like, I nod, that was my acting thing, which is cool. But it's like we had a track in that, and Orbital did as well, and they said, oh, you know, we need a DJ, do you want to come do it? There's loads of cool people on that.
Yeah.
Sean Pertwee was in it, Sadie Frost was in it, and there's all they're all like 18, 19. Sean Bean was in it, yeah. So they're all like.
When does he get killed?
So they're already young at the time, and so it was quite cool. And
that's quite a cast, isn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't the greatest film, but it was like, but it's kind of one of those sort of Channel 4 sort of cult.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And
so if you see it about IMDb, shopping.
But going back to that Harrogate thing, and just to kind of, is that, as Tim described it, it's like, it was just mad, as you know. It's like capacity crowd on a Saturday without any publicity.
Yeah.
So as a result, where that feeds in the history of dance music, people look back at the history of dance music and they try and, it's easy to be done, and I get why people do it. They'll go, Hacienda, Old 25, Ibiza, Boyzone, all those kind of things. I'm not going to take anything away, those were massive players. At the same time, they catalysed all these smaller things like Harrogate. There's no way you'd think that on a Friday and Saturday night in Harrogate, you'd have 350 people in a club, just there for the music. And the music was just like phenomenal. And going back to Tim's hip hop thing, the reason that I thought I want to, try and start seeing where the interface of music is between the two of us was that he was bringing all the hip hop stuff into house. He's his house DJ. So seeing him right back in the day before Utah, just before Utah's, he had 2 copies of stuff, which is a hip hop thing. Having 2 copies of he had 2 copies of the same record, and he'd be cutting between them and making his own remixes on the fly in the middle of the club. And that just blew me away. And not just me, I've seen like massive DJs who sit next to Tim and just go, I'm doing that.
It was cool. I mean, it was good. It was like, it was amazing that all these people come into Harrogate. Kind of, but like Jess said, Harrogate seems kind of like, I've always seen it as kind of like a northern sort of quite posh sort of town. And so whereas, people do write about Leeds and they write about Sheffield, but there was like, like Jess said, there was 300 people on a Friday night in Harrogate, and then when it finished, I remember driving to they all drove over to Pool Bank, and there was a rave on. Which the police busted, and you probably remember that. And we've got friends we've got friends over here who who went to prison, like Rob Tizera went to prison because there was a
DJ.
So
so this was happening all over. It wasn't just like Harrogate, even, as you know. Like every place had rave happening and dance music. That's why it's so exciting. And that's why there's also parallels with punk as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That culture was in the same way in the 70s, punk was seen as dangerous. In late 80s, early 90s, rave was seen as very dangerous. You remember all the headlines,
It was. And it was part of a bigger socio-political movement worldwide, because around about the time a few years before that, you got the Berlin Wall coming down, you got Yugoslavia disintegrating, you got Tiananmen Square with a guy in front of a tank. You've got big political movements of people, and generally, all the governments around the world were scared of any kind of movement which involved a lot of people, and rave did involve a lot of people.
Absolutely.
I had a mate who lived, this girl who lived next door to us. I had a flat on East Parade.
You did?
And this girl lived next door to us called Melissa. She was a mad raver, but she just went to all these events, and I remember when it was on the front page of the Sun and it had a picture of the club, and straight away I could just saw it was Melissa. She ended up then going out with Carl Cox, and Carl Cox like then ended up staying next door.
Allegedly.
Wow.
And then Carl Cox came around to the flat, and it was weird. It was like a lot of things were happening there.
I remember when you lived in that house at East Parade, because you used to come up to the paper shop I worked in.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was called. It was like
On the corner, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a nicer now thing, but next to Devonshire.
Yeah.
Yeah, just up there.
Right, cool.
Yeah. Back in the day.
So
There you go.
yeah.
See, Harrogate, the town you never heard of, and it spawned loads of stuff. I've just done an interview with Acid Rain,
Right.
who also Harrogate.
Really?
Yeah. On that note, we're going to get some food involved in this conversation. So watch this guy talk about subscribing or something. We'll be right back. And if you like what you've seen there, why don't you subscribe? It keeps us doing what we do, so we can keep bringing you the best content possible. So here we are, we're back with the food from the power of television. Right, so we have collie wings here, which is our fare for vegetarians. They do them here at Cult Wing. Big ups to Cult Wing, all crew.
Yeah.
And so over here we have this skull dive herb, which is the mild stuff. And over here we have the killer Korean. So that's them. And then over here we have these mushrooms, which are shiitake and oyster. And the reason why I've got mushrooms involved is because later on in the series, I'm going to be introducing you all to a company called Fungal, who are doing an amazing charity project in Manchester involving mushrooms. So I thought I'd just do a crafty link. Also, here today, for both of you, there's your own Foodinati sauce.
Wow.
This is ours. We made it with Chilli of the Valley. Big up Dan Reed.
That's brilliant.
And yeah, feel free to have a try on that. And
Awesome. Thank you.
from our friends at Chilli Shop, big up Frank, big up Chilli Shop, we have your Balefire Posh Chip Shop Chili Vinegar,
Excellent.
which we'll give it that little crack as well. Anyway, yeah, so
Amazing.
you've toured the world, all over the place. Where have you had the best food, do you reckon? Or some of the best food?
I want to say New Mexico.
Oh, yeah, that sounds tasty already.
We played in. I can't remember the name where we played, but the restaurant was like this small house. It didn't look like a restaurant. It was
In Tucson, Arizona.
Tucson, Arizona. There you go. Thank you. And we were late getting there because the whole band had got there before us because we had got this big team. Our whole American tour, we were out there for 3.5 months, on a bus, and there was 7 of us on the bus, and me and Tim had to go do promo every day, and the rest of the crew, the band, all did the recce of everything. So they found this place, and they said it doesn't even look like a restaurant, and it's someone's house. You have to ring the bell, basically, and,
Right.
and it was like 3 hours knocked into 1. It was a restaurant once you got in,
Right.
There was nothing else. And it was just the most amazing Mexican food, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Even though it
that.
was New Mexico, not Mexico, but it was.
So it's a real sort of like, was it a family vibe? Sort of
Yeah,
thing?
it was like a family vibe. It was, yeah, it was.
Wow.
good,
Yeah, my favourite types of things, like holes in the wall that you would walk past normally, you wouldn't know they were even there.
That's one.
Yeah. It's funny, when I was doing the interview with all of our friend Julie Weir, big up Julie,
Big up Julie,
Big
definitely.
Yeah.
she took me to her favourite Italian, and I literally said to Julie, we can go anywhere and film this anywhere, and she said, no, I want to go to my local Italian, and it was fabulous. It was just family-run Italian, and you can't beat that kind of
you can't.
restaurant. You really
I
can't.
agree.
You can take all your flashy stuff, but family, and it's gone through generations. You can taste it in the food. You know, it's just
Food first. That's what we
absolutely
want.
flavour first all the
I
time.
remember we had we went to this quite a nice sort of tasting thing at remember at Sydney.
Yeah. Sydney Opera House.
Sydney Opera
They did
House.
like a. I don't think we've ever done it before. Where we've done like a tasting menu and they bring you.
Oh right, yeah, little bits and often.
Yeah.
Very
Very
posh.
coarse,
It was
wasn't
on one of the record companies, so it was very posh for us. And but yeah, you get 7 or 8 courses, little things, and a different wine for each one. Different wine for each one. So it was that was interesting. as well.
Oh, so they did a wine pairing as
Yeah.
well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That was interesting.
Yeah, excellent.
What's your favourite food?
My favourite food, if I'm going out, well, my favourite food to cook, I used to like doing like Tex-Mex, Americana, barbecuing. I used to have my own food truck doing barbecue.
Yeah.
Did that for a while as Hades Kitchen, R.I.P. And but I like that because it's just fun to do.
Yeah.
My favourite food to eat, I like Greek.
Yeah.
I really like Greek food. I'm very into that, and I also like my Pan-Asian stuff. I did a whole year working in a Chinese restaurant in the middle of Bergen, which taught me how to be very good with knives. Because you get one cleaver for everything.
Wow.
Right.
And it's sharp as. So you have to be good, otherwise you're losing fingers, basically.
Yeah, I'm just checking your fingers.
Yeah, I've got a couple of battle wounds. But I mean, especially on my station, because the way Chinese kitchen works is different in that you've got different stations all based around a centre station, which is your wok station. So everything feeds from the sides into the wok station in the middle.
Yeah.
No one touches the woks apart from the head chefs. Like, they were proper Chinese old school wok masters.
Yeah.
So I was on prepping a veg and making things into like fans and stuff like that with this massive cleaver.
Yeah.
So it was, and you've got to do it quick as well. Scary stuff.
Yeah,
Amazing that.
So so I've got a lot of respect for Asian cuisine, definitely. But pizza as well, man. You know, I've never met a pizza I didn't get along with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you like? I suppose with the nature of Utah's, were you like? Because that hit. Well, not just something good, but what can you do for me as well? Big mega hits. Were you just like swept up straight into like stardom quite quickly? Next up on Foodinati UK, we've got nothing less than the man, the myth, the machine, the legend. Author and Punisher is on the show, and he's going to be talking us through his industrial assault.